It's a good customary that I give a bit of an update of where the project is. Not so much the nice things, because Vicky has been telling all about this, but sort of more a little bit more the nitty-gritty state of things. And I have definitely some news to share, both some good news and, of course, some slightly news that we want to hope that it turns out good. So first of all, this project, this version of the conference is sponsored or actually paid for by this DREAM project. So I want to tell you about that one in slightly more detail. And hence also the focus on dynamics and a little bit MD in this. So the DREAM project, then a very short update on NEF, and then an update on the CCPN part. So the team you see here, most people here except for Frankie, who's our admin and does a fabulous job these days in organizing, taking care of all the nitty-gritty details, the contracts, the things. Without her, we would not be in the same state. So all the people, well, you've seen them, they're here, talk to us. The co-PRs, Gary and Brian. Brian is sitting there. Gary, you just saw her fixing the problem. Then this project, this DREAM, so that's something between CCP-EM, CCP4, CCP-EM, this should be biasing, and CCP4, and here you see the head. So we co-chairing this project. Every half year we change the chair just to indicate equality there. And Bindu is the person who implemented and worked for us. She's also here in the room somewhere, I don't, all the way at the end. So together we're doing this part on the DREAM side. So what is the underpinning idea? Now, of course, since a long time, X-ray is giving us structures, NMR is sort of the first one since 1998, cryo-EM since 1975, and we know all these structures that give us lots of useful information. But we also know that there's something like mobility and dynamics, and that's actually a vast time scale. So this is a little bit an expansion of a figure which was being shown here, where we have all these different motions occurring on different timescales, and it's sort of becoming a paradigm that the interesting biology sits sort of here in this timescale of millimolar too. But also it sort of could be driven by things like amplitudes and motions in side chains, and that sort of drive the concerted action. So we want to know about all these things. Unfortunately, NMR, as you know, gives us all these very useful parameters that we can measure. So that's sort of been the focus of some of the talks on how to do this. But the other side of the story is that we want to have some kind of interpretive models coming from MD simulations to correlate back or to correlate between the experimental observables and that what we can do and learn from an interpretive MD model. So this is the whole idea what DREAM was all about. Now, this is, of course, not new. People are doing this inside the community, and just 2 papers, and already saw some talks, and we see some more talks in the coming days about people that are actually doing these kind of things. So the question is then, if that's the case, if it's so great and so we should all be doing, why are we not doing this more routinely? Now, so some of the obstacles, and this is the thinking which got us into there from the graduate student perspective. When you want to be doing this, you have to come a number of hurdles. And in my view, they sit in expertise. What do you need to do and how to properly define the problem? It sits in tool and access to resources. How to do this, where to do this, on what system and what programs. It sits in time and effort. You don't want to be wasting and doing the wrong things. You want to avoid something that solving problems that already have been solved before by other people. And then, of course, there's a bit of skepticism. What will it actually give you? Is this so important? Why don't you focus on this or that and all these kind of other things? So in order to combat that, we founded, or we started this DREAM. So here's our mission statement. DREAM will enable researchers to employ biomolecular molecular dynamic simulations as part of their workflows to enhance, explain, and use the experimental observations of the various biomolecular structure techniques in a coherent framework. So that's quite ambitious, to say the least. And we only had well, some resources, but definitely not enough to bring this all to the end. But the idea is we're going to be setting the stage. And for NMR, so there's 4 work packages. If you want to look on the website, you can see what that is. But for NMR, it's already alluded to. The whole idea is that from our software environment, you can go to a MD environment where you can run the MD simulations. And there's no data handlings, there's no conversion, there's no scripts to be written. And Bindu has implemented that. It works. You saw the pop-ups from the things. You go through a number of settings. You need to choose the pH. I think there's a few choices that you made. It's not stupid, click the button. You need to know what you're doing, but it's well documented, and it's, well, go and try it out on Animalogs, and then we can fix the errors. Then, of course, then you have trajectories, and you want to go back. So once you have those MD programs have produced MD data, you want to go seamlessly back and get into interpretations back into our environment and correlate it with NMR observables and NMR parameters, and doing things that the community, the experts have decided that is actually a sensible thing to do. So the way this is going back, that's what we're implementing at this moment. And hence also my email to some of you. If you have ideas or suggestions, say this is what we do, this is what is important, come and talk to me either now or in this extra session later. So that's what we're doing in this project. Now, it's not the only thing we do. We have an outreach, and that's why DREAM is funding the conference. DREAM is organizing its own conference on integrated structural biology, 12th to the 14th of October in Leeds. So the website will go live and early sign up pretty soon. It's also heavily sponsored. So if you're a PhD student and you bring a poster, you're going to be probably attending for something like 100 quid or so, just for the time. No, not like here that you also get your lodging and your food. That is still on top of that. And then finally, we also are doing so this session Wednesday between after the main thing is ended, a little bit of time for lunch. So anyone interested in joining there, please do that. That will be in one of the rooms up here. Okay, so that about the DREAM project. Short update on the NEF. Now, just to remind you, NEF is just a method, a tool, a protocol to exchange data between different software programs. So it encodes all common NMR data. It's adaptable for external programs. So external programs can put extra information in there. It's now accepted by the WPDB for deposition. It's community owned. So I'm not the owner. I don't decide with them. We as CCPN just the caretaker of the project. Anyone can join if you follow the charter, you agree with that one, you can make contributions, you can make suggestions, you can say this is the where it needs to be going, so because it's community owned. So all the data and the things are on GitHub. And the good news is that now all the major programs that you see here and different things, this is from Elisa's paper, which we just put out on bioRxiv. She also has a poster on NEF, but these are the things that already support NEF. So it starts becoming a good ecosystem there. So here's the paper. I showed this last year. Here's Elisa's new paper on bioRxiv. I'm trying to establish my record of number of co-authors on this particular paper. So if you have contributions and you did something and we added to the paper, then you can have your name on here as well. Then this is what Vicky showed, this perspective, but also that we have this extension of the standard. So that's an ongoing discussion. Effectively, these rates and these plots, we've translated that into a NEF encoding. So BMRB and other programs could pick this up. And where we are at the moment is heavy discussions with the BMRB, but also an updated version for things that we have identified and things that we have to enhance. And because the whole idea of the discussion is to indicate certain problems and solve them then next. Okay, that about NEF. Now, that brings me then to CCPN. So I'm going to talk about successes. I'm going to talk about funding proposals, and I'm going to look briefly into the future. First, the successes. So I showed this plot last year, and we've now added 1 year, and the number of registrations is still going upward. The number of users is still going upward, but I think our users tend to be a little bit slow over the holidays and just before Christmas, because you see really dips just before the end of the year every time popping up. So we're not working hard enough over the Christmas, or maybe it's a good thing in work-life balance. Second is that our industrial income since 2020 has more than tripled, and that's good because that pays certain people on the team. We're still increasing, and that's particularly because we just essentially sell more seats. So more companies come, and so the companies that come take out more seats and things like that. So that's all going in the right direction. Then this is the table from the grant, and we still are very active. You saw just the number of new tutorials that we have outputted. We keep on new, also on YouTube. The number of documentation and pages, form activity is still all very high. I want to highlight 3 papers. So this is the one on the NMR exchange format from Elisa. This is the one from on the work from Fred and Luca, which just got released yesterday. We pushed really hard to get this out for the day. And here is one which finally made it into print, Morgan's paper on the CASMDB this year. So just to illustrate a few highlights there. Then turning to the grant. Now, in April 2025, we submitted it. And last year during the conference, I told you that somewhere in December would get word. We got excellent reviews. Actually, we got 4 times a 6 out of 6 and 1 times a 5 out of 6. This was the highest score I've ever gotten in my career. So I thought we were in business. Unfortunately, as it was, we turned out not to be. So in November 2025, I got an email telling us that we did not get funded by this in this round. Now, the small silver lining is that the same email alluded to the fact that they invited us to resubmit the proposal. So somewhere, I think they had a little bit of a nagging feeling that maybe this was not a good idea. However, only 2 weeks after that, MRC closes down all grant applications. It's very nice. You get invited to submit your new grant, except that the program is closed until we know. And initially, then it sort of was like in the summer, we're going to open it up. Much to my surprise, actually, sorry, one thing. So I applied for no grant extension, so the project is still funded 2026. We just spread the money out a little bit. Fortunately, Dream came to the rescue because there's still a bit of money in the pot there, which paid for some of the personnel costs. So that was definitely a lifeline that got us carried over. Spent more money of the industrial income to supply salaries. But you have seen that it is growing, so that was a little lifeline that got handed there. Then in March, MRC all of a sudden opens up the program again, and I call up the MRC, Robert Dell, and say, if I want this reviewed in the next round in November, when do I have to submit it? Well, end of April, May 1st at the latest, which was 6 weeks after they announced it. Now, we already had been talking, we've been thinking about and looking what we're going to do. But 6 weeks to get such a big grant was a bit of an effort, so to say the least. Fortunately, on the 30th of April, before the 1st of May, I got it submitted. So I think we're good. We're going to get into the December round. Now, what are the changes between the failed submission and the grant? There's some definite changes. So I'm going to talk you what we did. First of all, compared to the current situation, so Gary and Brian, the current co-PIs, we have 4 new co-PIs, including Teresa and Joseph, representing the NMR facilities in the country. Fleming, of course, with important work on the AI and machine learning type approaches to spectra and in relaxation. And Marie, who has been working really hard with Morgan and with people in the medical field on the analysis of metabolomics and the relevance over there. Now, some of those were partners, so they are upgraded, so to speak, to co-PIs, which means there's a little bit of room to get new partners. I haven't listed all the partners, just the new ones in green. I try to put them on the map, but it's really crowded here in Europe. But you see Andy Beltran from Oxford, Sebastian Kosse, who works with us on metabolomics, and with Marie and Morgan Guillaume from ChemX. You've seen the integration, what we'll be doing with him. So Peter Gunther, of course, that's the Artina work. So we have him on board. Mark and Blattrich and the whole group at the IBS for intrinsically disordered proteins and their software. Frans Mulder, you heard Vicky talk about. We're working with him on IDPs and some other stuff over there. And then Fabian Mera in Brazil, because they have a really good and nice NMR community in Brazil. And we figured it would be time to reach out to them as well and doing work with them. So that's exciting new people that are joining and that we're already working with to reinforce that notion. Second, we've rejigged what the work packages and the way we're doing it. MIC wanted AI. Everybody wants AI. Governments things. So we make work package 1, AI. And what we're going to be doing is called an NMR workspace. So it involves all the things that we're doing with the people like Fleming and Peter Gunther and more of them. But also we're thinking about an CCPN chatbot where you can ask questions. So we're going to train some language model with the knowledge that we have, because we have lots of documentation, we have video tutorials. Wouldn't it be nice you can ask, how do I do this, rather than trying to have to look it up or things like that. And then maybe even an NMR CCPN manager, where you say, can you assign this protein for me, please? And then it will just go and it goes off and does its things that comes with the plan. We have all kinds of ideas, but that sit in this workspace. Also things like validation. Can you validate that things are right? You've heard me talk. So making this really sort of pushing this into the next era on how to interact. Then we have NMR for biology and medicine that focuses on all the things that we're doing, IDPs, peptides, metabolomics, assignments, all the things where just the techniques fitting, structures, you name it. A strong focus on fair data and interoperability. That's building on the work that we'll be doing, integrating other softwares without doing it ourselves. I mean, it's, I think, important that we have better ways on making sure that things that are out there are being implemented. And we've built the tools like the plugging mechanisms for doing that. And then work package 4 is just management and stakeholders. We need to do this. I will come back why this is green and purple. And then work package 5 is the kind of outreach that we're doing, this tutorials, workshops, hopefully a conference, come back to that. And then work package 6 is just making sure that the program continues working, that there's distributions, that developers know how to interact with us, all the kind of sort of underpinning work that is not very sexy, but really is quite a bit. I mean, Dan, since he's been on the project, the number of things on our bucket list that we get fixed are really improving, and we can just leave him and he goes off and does all these things. So that's the work package 6. Now, why is that? Because there is less money available. See, MRC has now capped the amount that you could apply for in the partnerships grant, which means that we had to make cutbacks. So effectively, what we are proposing that MRC is funding the first 4 work packages. So that's why they're green. So the amount of time that we spend on that one. And that CCPN Performance Industrial money funds the other 2 work packages. Now, of course, we have some of us working on this and also on that. But in terms of work allocation, this is roughly how it's going to be. That also means that if MRC thinks that fair data and all these things are important, then hopefully they want to pay for that one, because it's not something that we can get funded in any other way. You can't write a nice BBC proposal and say we're going to implement enough things, because it's not sexy. It will not get funded. It is community work, and that's what we're doing here in this project. Okay. Now, this one you will not like. No more subsidized CCPN conference. It simply did not fit in the budget. It's quite expensive to this. We have a subsidy. You pay 70 quid and you get 3 days of free. You get meals and your lodging. And we had to cut back on something. So instead, we are going to do at least do a sort of an annual day because it's easy to organize. And we're going to try to find additional funds, like this one is funded by DREAM, to see if we can still organize this on a basis. So be happy you're here, because probably next year we will only have a day because there's no outcome for these funds and I cannot plan anything if I don't know how to pay for it. And we will have a reduced travel budget, which means that if we go out to, especially foreign people coming and asking this workshop, we may have to start asking them for a little bit of money to support us. The partners have been really positive. We also have done a little inquiry with people sort of pay for a CCPN premium type thing. So we have all kinds of ideas to think. I most likely would like more industrial money coming in and this curve just to continue growing. That'd be the best way to finance all of it. Okay, so that's where we are. Now, we expect an outcome in December 2026. Now, when this news came, that's not the only thing we've been doing. So there's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 smaller projects that we have tried to apply for. So far, all unsuccessful. We either died in the qualifier rounds because there was demand management from the university, or we died when this was a project with Gary and Armis in round 1 after review. The other one was with actually Frank Delagrio rewriting NMR draw that died in the halfway in the semifinals. COSEC, that was a proposal for career development for them. That's unfortunately offended. And this is the one which I'm writing currently and hoping, hopefully it works. What Vicky alluded to, doing something with AstraZeneca on peptides. And I'm really quite pleased about one. I think it's a good project, but we'll see. Okay, so success is looking into the future and where are we going. Now, I've been lying slightly. These were not all the points that I wanted to discuss, because we also have Gary here today. And there's something special for Gary, because that's outlined here.